This is my old PC which runs Windows 10. It's been almost 13 years since I bought it. Initially, it performed very well, but as it aged, the computer began to struggle with running Windows smoothly. To address this issue, we changed the internals, replaced the SSD, and installed a fresh copy of Windows 11. Despite these upgrades, I wasn't satisfied with its performance due to limited system resources. Now, these are my PC specifications, which is more than sufficient for Linux to run smoothly. After testing several Linux distributions, I decided to use Arch for this video. Now, this video demonstrates how to install ArchLinux on old PC. You can use this guide to install Linux on any old PC or laptop. Now, as of now, this computer is running Windows 10. I'm not going to erase Windows and install Linux. Instead, I'm going to install Linux on a separate drive. The only requirement of this video is 4 GB or higher USB pen drive to create a bootable disk with ArchLinux. Now, with that being said, it's time to get started with the ArchLinux installation process. First, head over to the Arch website and click on Download button from the top right corner. Then choose the closest mirror to your location and download the latest ISO file. Then download Rufus to burn the ISO to the USB drive. You can also use Balena Etcher or Ventoy drive. Then connect your USB stick to your computer. I recommend using USB 2.0 port instead of 3.0 port. It's usually the black colored one. Now go ahead and open Rufus. Select the USB device and import the ArchLinux ISO file. I'm gonna choose the partition scheme as GPT, as this PC uses UEFI boot mode with the GPT partition scheme. If your system uses legacy BIOS, you can select MBR. Now follow the prompts and accept to start creating a bootable USB with Arch. This will take some time depending on the writing speed of your USB device. Now once it's done, it's time to boot the system into BIOS. You can turn off your PC and boot into BIOS setting using a keyboard shortcut based on your motherboard. Now mostly it could be F2, F9 or the escape key. Now once the PC is turned off, I'm going to repeatedly press the F2 in my case to enter the BIOS settings. Now once you're inside the BIOS settings, go to the boot options. Now make sure you are using the advanced boot menu type. I'm going to choose the boot device order and set UEFI USB drive as primary boot device. This way, the computer will load the operating system from the USB drive. Next, make sure USB boot is enabled. Also, set your system to boot USB devices first. Then I'm going to use the UEFI boot and disable legacy boot. Then look for the secure boot option and turn it off. Now this step is very important or else ArchLinux won't boot. And that's it. Now these are the BIOS settings that need to be changed or modified. Now once you're done, save the changes. Now your system will boot into Arch from the USB drive. Now on your monitor, you will see a terminal expecting for input. Now please note that the mouse functionality is disabled, so you need to rely on the keyboard. Then type this command to increase the font size of the console and press the Enter key to execute the command. Before installing ArchLinux, make sure your system is connected to internet. Since my PC is connected to the internet using Ethernet cable, you can see that when I run the ping command, I'm receiving the packets. If you're using built-in Wi-Fi support, use the IWCTL to connect to the internet. It's time to format the drive and prepare it for the Arch installation. Type lsblk to view a list of all connected devices. In my case, dev.sdb is the drive where I want to install ArchLinux. You can also use the fdisk command to see more information about the drives. It's important to be careful and make sure that you are formatting the correct drive. Now once you have confirmed the right drive, run this command gdisk/dev/sdb to launch the gdisk. Now replace sdb with the appropriate one. In the gdisk, press X to enter the expert mode, and then press Z to erase the drive. Now follow the prompts to complete the drive erasing process. Now at this point, the drive SDB should be a brand new and free of any partitions. Now type this command to synchronize the package databases. Then install the Arch keyring and Arch install packages by executing these commands one after the other. Now run the Arch installer script by typing Arch install and press enter. Now use the arrow keys to navigate through the options and enter key for selection. Then set the system language by selecting your option. Then choose your locale. In my case, I'm going to leave the first three options at their default values. Then choose disk configuration, choose partitioning, and use the best effort partition layout. Then select the drive where you want to install ArchLinux. In my case, it's SDB. Select the drive by pressing either the space bar or the tab key. You will see an asterisk between the square brackets to indicate that the drive has been selected. Now choose the ext4 file system and create a separate home partition. Then select back to return to the main menu. And make sure swap is enabled. Next, select the bootloader. You have four options to choose from. Use either systemd or the GRUB boot manager. I'm going to choose GRUB, which works better. Then set the hostname as ArchLinux. Then set the password for the root user. Then create a new user account. And add the new user to the sudoers list for elevated privileges. Now scroll down and choose to confirm and exit. It's time to install the desktop environment. Select Profile, Type, and choose Desktop. The Arch install offers various options to choose from, but for this demonstration, I will choose the lightweight Mate desktop. Next, select the graphic drivers that you want to install. Now, since my PC has older discrete graphics card, I believe the proprietary drivers might not work properly, so I recommend choosing the open source drivers. They usually work better with older hardware. Then select the audio option and choose the audio server. For best results on most computers, it's recommended to use Pipewire. If you wish, you can also install additional kernels, but for now, I will stick with the LTS kernel. After that, select the network configuration and choose to use the network manager. Under the Additional Packages option, simply press / followed by the package name and press the Tab key to select it. You can search for any package with / and install it. Then select your time zone to set the correct time on your system. Now go ahead and check all the options and haven't left anything blank. Now once you have confirmed all the options, select Install and wait for a few minutes for Arch to perform its magic. Now once it's done, you will see the prompt to perform post-installation steps. Select Yes to enter the chroot environment and start customizing your new Arch installation. It's time to install some GUI applications like Firefox, VLC, LibreOffice, and most essential packages. Once it's done, exit from the chroot environment. Then type this command to unmount all partitions. Once it's done, shut down the system by typing this command and eject the pen drive. Now turn on your computer. If you notice that the system failed to find the GRUB and booted into Windows, to fix this issue, turn off your computer and turn it back on and enter the BIOS settings by pressing the shortcut key. In my case, it's F2. Once you are inside the BIOS, go to the boot options, then select the boot device order and choose the drive where you installed ArchLinux. In my case, this is the drive and I'm going to move it to the top using the +R- keys. Next, make sure to disable any option that might override this setting like Windows Boot Manager Priority or Fast Boot. Then save the changes. And voila, now you can see the GRUB Boot Manager. Now from here, you can boot into ArchLinux. Unfortunately, the Windows Boot Manager isn't listed in the GRUB yet. We will fix that in a moment. For now, choose the first option to boot into Arch. Now it's time to add the Windows boot entry to the GRUB boot menu. Open Terminal or Console and type this command to install the OS Prober package. Then edit the GRUB configuration file with this command and change the default GRUB timeout to 30 seconds. Then scroll down to the bottom and uncomment this line. If you don't set the OS Prober value to false, then GRUB cannot look for the Windows Boot Manager and will not add it to the GRUB menu. Now once it's done, save the changes by pressing Ctrl+X and press Enter. Now run this command to update GRUB. Now you will see it finds the Windows Boot Manager. Once it's done, reboot your system. Now you should be able to use the GRUB menu to boot into either Arch or Windows. And that's pretty much it. This is how you can easily install ArchLinux on any old PC or laptop in just a few minutes using the Arch install script. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. This has been KSKRIO. I will see you in the next one.